favorite genre, I suspect it's like World War II and German.
Yes. Not necessarily German, but World War II in general. When my next one, when this one is finished, is going to be a Pacific theater because I had a very good friend, Dave Harper, who passed away a few years ago. And while I was still working on the one I'm working on, he made me promise I would build a Pacific theater, Dio. And so even though he's gone, I'm still going to do that.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, well, remember Dave. Did you ever... I can't remember. Like I said, I know Bob for over 25 years, if not longer, maybe 30 years.
Yeah.
But I never saw you build an aircraft.
Oh, yeah.
You did?
Oh, sure. I've built several large aircraft dioramas. Remember the one with a...
In a field somewhere. That's right.
No.
I
had a big hangar, German hangar, where the Germans had the... oh gosh, I can't remember what they called them. But anyway, they would bring all the captured Allied aircraft to one place. They would repair them and get them serviceable.
Is that the wolves in sheep clothing? Was it?
No.
Well, I'm getting a blank here.
No, anyway, I can't think of what they call those things. They had 5 of them, and I built the one in Paris. And they had a B-17, a C-47, and a Mustang, all with German markings on them. And so what they would do is bring their pilots in, have them fly them, and by flying them, their pilots could discover the strengths and weaknesses and make them better able to fight them in combat.
No, well, that's my...
And then I also built a large diorama of a castle farm on the coast of France with a BF-109. I think I
remember that one, yes.
And that was in 24 scale. Yeah.
I think I remember that.
Yeah, I like aircraft. I like almost all genres of modeling.
Okay. Are you anyway associated to maybe a club or something from guys that...
I have been, and in fact I'm a past president of an IPMS chapter. That was years and years ago. And frankly, the only reason I'm not now is I live so far out in the sticks. The nearest club is like 50 miles away. So.
Do you still build every day, or?
Pretty much 5 days a week, probably. Wow. I used to could spend 16, 18 hours a day doing that. About 6 hours a day now. That's about it for me.
Well, that's already that's even a lot for me. I couldn't. Now, is there any kids that you would like to see, that you have on your wish list or something that...
Let me tell you, I come from an era when there was nothing. It was a barren wasteland. It is absolutely amazing. I mean, just about anything you would ever want is out there. It's available. I could only dream 40 or 50 years ago that I had all the stuff that's out there now. No, not really.
You were basically the founder of MasterCon. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? Because here at Squadron we host Eagle Quest, but Eagle Quest, and I'm sure that many of you know that, derived from MasterCon. So can you tell us a little bit how MasterCon came about?
I don't know how it even came about, but VLS kind of became the I don't know.
They call it the Mecca of...
the Mecca, but no, it kind of became a clearinghouse for complaints about model contests. And anyway, when we were publishing a magazine, as you remember well, my father, who's no longer with us, was an artist, and he used to make a cartoon strip, and it was always about the the classic IPMS judge with the thing on his head and the mirror, the dental mirrors, and the magnifying glasses and all that, and kind of made jokes about it. So that probably had something to do with it. And then people just started calling, and they'd say, my God, I went to this show and it was this and it was that. So I went on. So one day I thought, what if we had a show where there are no judges and the people that enter will do the judging by a vote system. And we worked on it. Finally we had our first MasterCon, and that was in 1991, I believe. You were there.
I think
You were there, I remember.
was it the first or the second one? I think it was the first one. It was in the Dennis in that.
Yeah, in the days.
Yeah, then I was there. Yeah.
Convention center, right? And so we had quite a turnout even then. I think there was like three to 400 came, and then it became an annual event. And
But didn't you have to be like? Didn't you have
you had to
possess
be
like
belong to
certain-
a club. We had
like a master.
I was doing a lot of flying all over the world back in those days, and so I belonged to several airline clubs, and which you get points for doing this and get discounts and so on. So I thought, well, why not have a buyers club, which we called the Masters Group.
Oh, okay.
And so you would pay a fee every year, and for that fee, you would get a discount on everything you bought. You'd get free shipping, you'd get this, get that, something else. So that was already in place. So then when I started this show, I thought, okay, we'll call it MasterCon. And everybody can come, but it'll be targeted toward those, because at the time we had close to 3,000 Masters members. And that's how MasterCon got started.
Did you ever consider like becoming a pattern maker?
Yeah, sure. I've thought about it. I have actually done it a few times. Nothing like you. And the reason I never did is because I was involved in many other aspects of the hobby, and there are pattern makers out there that are better than me, and it goes especially for you, because I've told you before, I think you're about the best there is.
Well, appreciate that. But,
Well, I'm just telling the truth.
yeah, I've been around the block a few times.
Yes, you have, absolutely.
So, Bob, I understand you're a veteran. You're a
Yes.
veteran, and also, as mentioned before, a cop. Did that have any influence on your building models or establishing VLS?
I would say no, but then again, all those years I ran BLS, there were 5 professions that were very prevalent as modelers. Police officers, military, firemen, doctors, and dentists, and especially dentists. Working all those little tools, I don't know, but yeah, those 4 professions, there's so many of them in modeling. I don't know if it had anything to do with mine. I don't think so. I remember when I was 18 years old, stationed in France, and I had photographs of my bunk, and there's armored vehicles and airplanes and ships sitting on my bunk. So I think I got into it much earlier, and I really don't think that had anything to do with it. But there is some correlation between those certain professions and modeling. Beyond that, I don't know.
Now, for years you run VLS as a really successful company. Could you tell us a little bit more about the beginnings? And I think you moved a few times too from one building to the other.
Oh yeah, sure. We moved quite a bit. We kept growing, and we kept outgrowing facilities. So
when did you officially start at VLS? Do you know?
1983. Susan and I had talked this over, and she said, well, how much money do you think it'll take to start it? And I said, I don't know. And she said, well, there's $90 in the cookie jar. And I said, well, let's go with that and let's see what happens. So I had some silly little business cards made up, and the rest of the money I took, and it was a big distributor downtown St. Louis, and I knew him from being a cop. I'd made some arrests, people that had burglarized his place, and so I went down to see him. And he let me buy a whole lot of old kits, some of them rare, for practically nothing. And then what I'd do, I'd take them to the club meetings and sell them to the guys. And so then we started going to shows, and I would be competing, and then Susan, I'd set her up with the tables, and she'd sit there and sell stuff. And then, we'd go overseas and buy that and bring it back, and it just kept growing. And we had it in our house for about 7 or 8 months in our basement, and then it just grew too big. We had to move into a commercial area, and then we were in one, then the next thing we acquired the one next to us, then the one next to us, and then we outgrew those three. Then we went to a really large one, and then finally when we outgrew that, I had to get an entire building. And then we were there for a while, outgrew that, and we ended up in a 40,000 square foot.
That was that Moscow?
Moscow Mills, yeah. Yeah. It just, the back in those days, none of the American distributors were bringing in a lot of imports. And since I was traveling a lot to Asia and Europe, entering competitions and things like that, I kept seeing all this incredible stuff. And I thought, my God, why isn't anybody bringing this in?
Mm.
And so that's kind of how VLS just went
Took off.
insane. Yeah, because I was bringing in all this stuff. No one had ever seen it before. And we had name recognition at least within a year. And, you know, by the time we were in business 4 or 5 years, I mean, they knew us all over the world.